My name is Rory, and this is episode 1 in a 5-part mini-series I'm doing on drawing the face. In this episode I'll be going over how I draw eyes. Eyes are arguably the most important feature on the face, so this is the one you should practice the most. The technique I use when I'm drawing the eye is pretty simple and straightforward. I don't like to go into too much detail. I tend to draw with quite a minimalist touch and just suggest details. So the method which I find simplest for drawing the eye is to firstly just suggest the outline of the eye. So this will be the sort of red part of the eye near the bridge of the nose, and then you bring out the top line of the eye and just suggest the corner of it here as well. I tend not to draw in this line here on the eye because I think it makes it look a bit too harsh and over-defined. And then from there I go to draw the iris, which is just a circle there. And then you want to draw into the iris, you want to draw the pupil and the highlight. The highlight is the part of the eye that makes it look alive, makes it look wet, and makes it look circular. So I tend to draw that first. I just very lightly draw a circle there that's quite off center, and then I fill in the pupil underneath it, and like that you get the beginnings of an eye. And then just with some light lines in around the iris, like that, very light, just barely showing that there's an amount of detail there, and then a bit of shading into the pupil. You can see that the eye really starts to take shape, and then just a few little minor details around, maybe a little bit of very light shading on the white of the eye, just to make it seem that bit rounder. Just going to define the highlight a bit more. Don't be afraid of using harsher edges when you're drawing with minimalist style. If you go into a lot of detail, then sharp lines tend to look pretty terrible, but when you're just suggesting shapes, then sharp lines can be your best friend. And then when it comes to drawing in the eyebrow, what I like to do is just give it a polygonal shape at first, just over the eye, just roughly that shape, with the 6 corners just there and there, the end corners, and then there in the middle at the top of the arch, which should be somewhere around the middle of the eye. And then you just fill it in with light pencil strokes. And while you're doing this, you want to try and break up the edge of the eyebrows a bit to make it look a little less mechanical and give it that bit of an organic feel. Just kind of rounding it out and softening it. And you can do this at the bottom by starting your lines just before they get into the eye. And then the crease just over the eye, like that. And I'm just going to darken up this line here as well a bit. And then that is how I draw the eye. And you can use this technique to draw a few different expressions, obviously. You can draw the eye in a lot of different expressions. So you can even use less detail than this if that's too much, and draw something like a surprised eye would be something like this. And when drawing surprise, because you want to have the eye so wide, I tend to just put a tiny line at the bottom here to show that the eye is widened and just show the shape of it, and then you draw the entirety of the iris visible, which normally you wouldn't show the entirety of the iris, but with surprise, because your eyes are open so wide, you do. Then you have your highlight and your pupil, and just a bit of detail on there, shading. And then of course you will have the eyebrows a good bit more raised up above the eye, just to again further indicate the expression of surprise. And that looks a bit odd because it's just floating in space, but when you come to put these together, raising the eyebrow above it like that will add a good deal of expression to your character's face. And if you want to draw an eye looking angry, then you do quite the opposite of this, of the shock. You draw the eye again, like that. Just get your shape. So I'm drawing a kind of an awkward angle, so some of my lines aren't coming out as clean as I would like them to. And then you have the eye a good deal narrower in this circumstance, and only about half of the iris is visible. And then you've got your pupil and your highlight there. You always put in the highlight because it just adds so much more to the eye and makes just that deal more believable. And just the slight little bits of shading give a lot to your characters. They especially show a lot of them when you're just drawing features individually. It's great to practice putting in the smaller details. And then the shape of the eyebrow when you're angry is such that it comes down here and then rises up. So that's the general shape you're going for. Now, you don't go too crazy with that, but you just chin that off a little bit more. Just give yourself your bit of shading at the eyebrow. And then it's good to try working some wrinkles into the center to show that the brow is furrowed. And you know, if you extend the face out further, you can see that the eye is looking none too pleased. And yeah, so basically that's the basic technique for drawing an eye. You just have your eye line, or your eye shape, like that. Then draw a circle for your iris, and then fill in the pupil with a highlight. Suggest that wrinkle. You can set the bottom line if you want, and if you want to make them look a bit tired, you can have a few lines there to show the bags under the eye. And then you just draw an eyebrow over it, like that. And there you have an eye. And you know, to obviously draw the opposite side, let's see, where else can I draw? Okay, if you want to have both of the eyes visible, sometimes it can be helpful just as a guide to draw 3 eyes, because the eyes on your face are exactly 1 eye width apart. Give or take, I suppose I should say. Nothing is ever exact when you come to these rules. But then just fill in your details. It's also important to note that when you're drawing in highlights on eyes, you should always draw them both on the same part of the eye. So see the highlight there and there for the 2 eyes that are coming in and facing each other. Now these are not the best examples, but that way it shows that their lighting is coming from the same light source, rather than from 2 different sources, which would make it look a lot more unnatural. And then you just draw your eyebrow over the eyes and just shade them in. You can shade them in as well as drawing individual hairs, depending on the level of detail which you're going for. With practice, you will be able to get them a lot more even. I'm drawing at a really awkward angle, so that is why they are not coming out as at the most even shape. But that is the basics on how to draw an eye. I hope you enjoyed learning how to draw eyes. I'll see you next time.